I was obviously pretty young, but I found this old Fisher-Price voice recorder thing, and it was a cassette tape, and the little microphone with the curly wire, and it had a big button to press into it. So I took duct tape, and like it was an on-off switch, but it wouldn't hold in, so I duct taped it together, and like I had a little 10-watt bass amp and no mic stand or anything. So I had to cram the mic into the grill cloth and like wedge it between the floor and the grill cloth, and like I recorded my bass to a cassette with it. That was the very first thing I ever recorded. My name's Steve Lehane. I'm a producer, engineer, mixer here at Rustbelt Studios. When I started here, I just like sensed a vibe, and I didn't know how to explain it. And like I started working with people, and they said the same thing. It was like there's just something here, like there's just something, like it invokes something in you that is hard to replicate. It's got a pretty vintage, dirty vibe in more ways than one. Like we clean the shit out of this place, and it still like has just like a raggedy thing to it. But that's part of what people appreciate too. Al Sutton, who owns the place, like he's been a huge influence on me, like in how I handle sessions, like my tones, how I treat the studio as well. Like a long time ago, he was like, treat this place like you own it. And it's a place that's designed by musicians for musicians, and I've always loved that about it. Music's really all I have in a way, you know. Music's really, like if you work in music, it kind of is the only constant thing that you have. Like there's always the music. I just like making stuff big, like a little bit of old school, just like big and bright and open, but also with like a nice fat low end to it, even. Make sure the vocal pops, sits real big, it's huge. To me, the gear is what like a nice piece of gear is what I use to put myself into it. Like you put the piece of gear in and the gear has sound. You're the one who overdrives a preamp, or you're the one that just does something that doesn't make sense, does something that technically you shouldn't do, or something somebody told you never should do. That's like why I like recording stuff, is because I can make that mine, you know? Like, I mean, it's your tone, but I can help you with it, and I can make it mine too, like, and send you out of here with something hopefully great. A while ago, I ditched the idea of trying to compete with anybody else, like in particular, like other producers or engineers or other studios, because, like, why should I care what they're doing? Not everything works one thing doesn't work for everybody. And even if you told somebody exactly how to do something that you do, it's not gonna work the same for them. Like, this pretty standard sentiment throughout music and engineering and production. I just don't give a shit anymore. Like, I am who I am. If I don't feel that way, then my creativity suffers, because then I'm worried about something, or then I'm thinking about something. I mean, just the idea of what Vintage King does and what Vintage King stands for, I immediately want to buy stuff from there, because who else is gonna have that? Like, who else is gonna have like old Neve stuff, old API stuff, Fairchild's consoles, and then also have techs that can service it and help you install it. Vintage King and Rustbelt have like a similar approach to tonality into music. So it's a perfect fit.